Reason 1. The undisturbed sanctuary, a deep respect for inner peace. So, what's the very first pillar supporting this unexpected contentment? It begins with a profound shift in priority, a quiet turning inward that Harold, a vibrant 74-year-old, discovered almost by accident. Harold, once the life of every family barbecue and card night, now often declined social invitations. His grown children exchanged worried glances. Was Dad becoming a recluse? For decades, Harold navigated a demanding career, family life, and constant social obligations. Now, Harold embraced a different fulfillment. He preferred his window chair, coffee, and old music, watching the trees. His internal monologue often affirmed, "This quiet, it's not empty, it's full." This conscious choice for solitude wasn't always understood. Friends and family, recalling his past gregariousness, voiced concern about his inactivity, wondering if he was lonely. The tension climaxed when a close friend asked, "Harold, are you okay? We missed the old you." Harold smiled gently. His decision, he explained, wasn't about becoming distant, but about protecting his inner peace after decades of noise. "I've learned to savor stillness," Harold shared. "This calm, I never realized how much I needed when I was younger." He clarified that this was discerning solitude, not loneliness. He no longer chased crowds, choosing peace over constant stimulation and valuing the room to think. For Harold, inner peace wasn't about perfect silence. It was about emotional balance, limiting chaos to feed his soul. Harold's quiet sanctuary was built on his newfound respect for inner peace. But this peace wasn't just about escaping external noise. It was also about silencing an internal one, the lifelong habit of trying to please everyone. For Carol, 78, this was a battle she hadn't realized she could win until solitude showed her the way. Reason 2. The unburdened self, freedom from the need to please others. Harold's quiet sanctuary was built on his newfound respect for inner peace. But this peace wasn't just about escaping external noise. It was also about silencing an internal one, the lifelong habit of trying to please everyone. For Carol, 78, this was a battle she hadn't realized she could win until solitude showed her the way. Carol stared at the unopened invitation, her heart quickening. For decades, a yes would have been automatic, a performance she was tired of. Today, something snapped. Her past was a tapestry of saying yes when she longed to say no, enduring draining events to avoid disappointing others. The internal conflict between guilt and exhaustion was relentless. She recalled one specific incident, a cousin's party she forced herself to attend, feeling miserable while her discomfort went completely unnoticed. Now, an invitation to a large, dreaded family gathering arrived. Family expectations were high, the pressure mounting. The tension peaked when her daughter called, "Mom, you are coming, right? Everyone's asking." Carol took a breath, decades of people-pleasing warring with a new urge for emotional freedom. For the first time, she honored her own needs. "Actually, dear, not this time," Carol stated, her voice steady. "But I send my love." Hanging up, she felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. Carol realized her time and energy were too precious for unwanted obligations. Saying no wasn't selfishness. It was profound self-respect. Reflecting in solitude, she thought, "I finally care enough about myself to stop stretching beyond my limits." Solitude became her space to practice this newfound self-respect without external judgment. This growing wisdom signaled true emotional freedom, the realization that she no longer needed external approval to feel whole. Carol's newfound freedom from pleasing others didn't mean she shut out the world. Instead, it allowed her to reevaluate what connection truly meant. Like Leonard, 81, she began to understand that the number of faces around you matters far less than the quality of the hearts that see you. Reason 3. The curated circle, meaningful relationships over social quantity. Carol's newfound freedom from pleasing others didn't mean she shut out the world. Instead, it allowed her to reevaluate what connection truly meant. Like Leonard, 81, she began to understand that the number of faces around you matters far less than the quality of the hearts that see you. Leonard, at 81, once boasted a phone book overflowing with contacts from his myriad clubs and committees. Now, however, his most treasured interactions were limited to 2 weekly calls and a quiet game of chess. Had he lost his touch, or found something more profound? His past was a whirlwind of social activity, large gatherings and a calendar packed with superficial engagements. Over time, the allure of large groups faded. Small talk felt empty, the noise heavier. In recent years, Leonard consciously stepped back. His meaningful connections were now curated. Twice-weekly calls with his son, chess with a trusted neighbor, and occasional letters to an old college friend. This change in his aging social life wasn't always understood. Old acquaintances sometimes commented on his disappearance, implying isolation or that he'd been forgotten. One remarked, "Don't see you around much anymore, Leonard. Keeping to yourself these days." Leonard would smile, perhaps recalling a recent deep conversation with his son, and gently reply, "I'm around where it counts." He once confided, "Those few connections give me more peace than 100 shallow ones ever could." He had come to value sincerity far more than constant stimulation, prioritizing depth over breadth in his relationships. Solitude helped him identify relationships that truly nourished and discern true friends from acquaintances. Leonard wasn't avoiding others. He was choosing quality, discovering the quiet power of a few deep, sincere friendships. Leonard's curated circle provided deep satisfaction, but this contentment also stemmed from an inner resource he'd cultivated over years, a profound self-reliance. For Marie, 77, this independence wasn't just a preference. It became her lifeline after an earth-shattering loss. Reason 4. The unshakable core, strong self-reliance and emotional independence. Leonard's curated circle provided deep satisfaction, but this contentment also stemmed from an inner resource he'd cultivated over years, a profound self-reliance. For Marie, 77, this independence wasn't just a preference. It became her lifeline after an earth-shattering loss. The silence in Marie's home after her husband's passing was deafening. At 77, she feared it would swallow her whole. But within that silence, an unexpected inner strength began to stir. Initially, the solitude of her loss was terrifying. Yet, Marie began a quiet journey. Morning walks, reflective journaling, and rediscovering old hobbies. She learned to process her grief not by constant distraction but by sitting with her emotions. This way of coping with loss wasn't always understood. Well-meaning friends, fearing she wasn't coping due to her time aging alone, often insisted, "You need to get out more, Marie." The tension between their concern and her need for quiet healing was clear. One quiet evening, looking at an old photo of her husband, a wave of grief hit her. Instead of panicking or calling someone, she breathed through it, acknowledging the pain and her capacity to hold it. A profound realization dawned. "I miss him terribly, but I am still whole." Solitude, Marie realized, helped her remember her own completeness. She became her own anchor, fostering self-reliance and no longer needing constant external validation. This emotional independence, born from experience and hardship, wasn't emotional detachment but about learning to manage emotions. It was a hidden power, an inner strength discovered in quiet moments. Marie's emotional independence was forged in the quiet crucible of her solitude. This dedicated time alone wasn't just for healing. It became a space for profound learning and growth, a path that Raymond, 79, actively sought out for its transformative power. Reason 5. The inner classroom, time for reflection, growth, and inner learning. Marie's emotional independence was forged in the quiet crucible of her solitude. This dedicated time alone wasn't just for healing. It became a space for profound learning and growth, a path that Raymond, 79, actively sought out for its transformative power. Raymond, 79, a man of science and logic, now presented a curious picture. His old colleagues would have been baffled to find him engrossed in philosophy or tending his herb garden. What was he searching for in these quiet pursuits? His routine was settled. Mornings reading philosophy, afternoons gardening, evenings writing in a private notebook. In this treasured space for reflection, he didn't just skim memories. He delved deep, gently untangling old knots to make peace with past choices, and began to quietly, yet profoundly, contemplate his evolving purpose. This intense internal activity wasn't always apparent to his children. They worried he was bored or drifting, misinterpreting his quietude. "Dad, why not join the new seniors tech club?" his son suggested, thinking his father needed more stimulation. The climax came when Raymond shared a notebook page with his granddaughter. It revealed a profound life insight, a simple truth crystallized from years of living that resonated with unexpected clarity. His granddaughter looked at him with new, unfiltered awe, suddenly understanding that his quietness was not emptiness but a deep, vibrant wellspring of wisdom. "I'm learning more about myself now than I ever did in my busy 30s, Raymond explained. "Not because life is easier, but because I finally have space to listen." Solitude was his classroom for lifelong learning. His mind sharpened, his heart softened, and personal growth continued. This was the fifth surprising benefit: the quiet, continued blossoming of inner wisdom through reflection. Raymond's inner classroom thrived because he fiercely protected the time and space for it. This protection often requires clear boundaries, a skill Joyce, 75, had to learn the hard way before solitude could truly flourish. Reason 6. The sacred perimeter, clearer boundaries, and protection of time/energy. Raymond's inner classroom thrived because he fiercely protected the time and space for it. This protection often requires clear boundaries, a skill Joyce, 75, had to learn the hard way before solitude could truly flourish. The phone rang for the 10th time that morning. Joyce, 75, once felt compelled to answer every call, attend every gathering, and volunteer at every event. Now, she let it ring, a small smile playing on her lips. She was no longer a puppet to others' demands. Her past was a blur of overcommitment, saying yes to everything, often leaving her drained and sacrificing her well-being. The tension surfaced one afternoon. A family member called repeatedly, increasingly agitated about a trivial matter, expecting Joyce to drop everything. In the past, Joyce would have. Now, she assessed her own energy and priorities. When she finally spoke to them later, the climax was her calm boundary. "I can discuss this briefly at 3 p.m. if it's important," she stated, without apology or over-explanation. The family member was taken aback by this firm, yet gentle assertion. "That boundary," Joyce explained, "saved my health and my happiness." She learned to check in with herself first, crucial for protecting her energy and effective time management in aging. People enjoying solitude after 70 often develop a sharper emotional radar for such emotional noise, recognizing and avoiding situations that drain them. They learn saying no out of clarity, not bitterness. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls but creating a life that fits, leaving room for rest and protecting peace as sacred. This is the sixth powerful secret. Boundaries are an act of self-love. Joyce's carefully guarded perimeter allowed her not just to rest, but to live with a newfound sense of purpose, focusing only on what truly mattered. This intentionality, Walter, 80, discovered, was the ultimate reward of a life lived less distractedly, a life where solitude was the compass. Reason 7. The deliberate life, more intention, less distraction. Joyce's carefully guarded perimeter allowed her not just to rest, but to live with a newfound sense of purpose, focusing only on what truly mattered. This intentionality, Walter, 80, discovered, was the ultimate reward of a life lived with less distraction, a life where solitude was the compass. Walter, 80, was a striking contrast to his former self. He once started his days with a barrage of news, emails, and frantic calls. Now, his first hour was for silence, water, and sunlight. "The change," he'd say, "is like night and day, a secret I wish I'd learned decades ago." His past was driven by urgency, chasing trends, social drama, and the pressure to keep up. His present, however, embraced a slower pace. He cooked with care, enjoyed quiet walks, read books, and was present with his pets. He didn't kill time. He inhabited it, showing deep present moment awareness. Younger relatives, caught in their own rush, found his pace baffling. Grandpa, You should get on social media, see what's happening, they'd urge. The tension was clear. The climax was subtle. Walter, calmly enjoying a meal, fully present, while his family buzzed, distracted by phones. He simply smiled, a picture of contentment. The calm I feel now is something I wish I had made time for decades ago, Walter reflected. Solitude taught him intentional living, stripping away noise to reveal true needs and what to let go of. He no longer needed to prove anything, living with care, attention, and appreciating the simple joys of the present. A state many chase for a lifetime for a truly meaningful life in aging. This was the final wisdom. A life rich in simplicity, guided by inner truth, not external clamor. Walter's intentional life, nurtured in solitude, is a testament to a wisdom that many chase for a lifetime. These 7 paths all lead to a similar truth, that drifting away from the crowd isn't weakness, but a profound strength. But what does this mean for you? Walter's intentional life, nurtured in solitude, is a testament to a wisdom that many chase for a lifetime. These 7 paths all lead to a similar truth, that drifting away from the crowd isn't weakness, but a profound strength. But what does this mean for you? Ultimately, choosing solitude after 70 is not a retreat from life, but an embrace of its deeper currents. It's a testament to inner peace, a freedom from pleasing others, a focus on meaningful connections, profound self-reliance, continuous inner learning, the strength of clear boundaries, and a life lived with true intention. These aren't signs of weakness or isolation. They are hallmarks of wisdom and strength, pillars of authentic living cultivated in quiet power. The journey towards embracing quiet is a path to profound self-knowledge. So, if you find yourself drifting from the crowd as you age, perhaps you're not drifting away, but drawing closer to your truest self. The societal pressure to be constantly engaged can be immense, but the legacy of solitude offers a different perspective. The next time someone suggests you're alone too much, perhaps smile gently. You might have discovered something precious they haven't yet. The profound peace and wisdom in solitude that grows only in those quiet places. This understanding is not about encouraging loneliness, which is a painful and involuntary state. Instead, it's about recognizing and honoring the quiet power inherent in chosen solitude, the deliberate stepping back to engage with oneself for reflection, for nurturing intention, and for living a life that is genuinely one's own. It's about embracing quiet, not as an emptiness, but as a space filled with potential. This journey into quiet isn't an ending, but a profound, peaceful becoming. What quiet truths are waiting to be heard in your own life?